This next couple of weeks, we're going to be taking a look at a radically new, different kinds of ways of thinking about art. Whereas the first part of the term, we were looking at different theories about, well, what it is that art might produce, be it representations of things, emotions, or even significant forms. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at theories that point to what's interesting about art in terms of those art objects themselves, not just the things that they give rise to, like representations, emotions, and forms. So the first person we'll take a look at this week is Greenberg, who writes this essay that I gave you around 1960, and he points out that there's this tendency in art around his time to be what he calls modernist, and he goes on and gives a description of what he means by modernist art. So what I'll do in this video is just give a little overview about what's kind of important and interesting to pick out about what Greenberg's saying, and give you some examples of art throughout history that helps illustrate what he's on about. So Greenberg starts at this place where he's saying, look, it used to be that in general what artists were up to were indeed doing the sort of things that Plato and Aristotle thought of art as doing, namely creating representations of things, like this old master painting by the Dutch artist Bert from 1625. Here, clearly you're representing things like the shell and the skull on a table, and you're creating this interesting illusion that, as Greenberg says, it seems like you could walk right in there. You could walk around to one side of the table or the other, or pick things up or put something else new on the table in there. And so it's creating these representations. It might even be creating certain emotions in you. You might, as a Dutch person in the 1600s, take a look at this and see, oh wow, look at all these rich, wealthy things that our newfound economic prosperity allows us to buy. Oh, but yet there is that skull reminding me that no matter how rich I get, I'm still going to die in the end, so I better contemplate that as well. And you might even see some interesting, significant forms. For example, the sunlight coming down from the upper left-hand corner creates this diagonal line from the upper left to the bottom right, and then that's countered by the sword that's on the table that's going from the lower left to the upper right, making almost this perfect cross in the picture, which is kind of this interesting form that you can pull out of these disparate representational elements of the painting. So we could look at this painting in all the different ways that we've thought about art so far, in terms of what it represents, what kind of emotions those representations might evoke in us, and also in terms of the significant forms that the arrangements of lines and colors that are used to create those representations might create. But then, if you fast forward a couple hundred years to 1868, you've got Cezanne painting, well, something with very similar representational content, some fruits and a skull on a table with a cloth, and yet, whoa! It seems like what he's up to is a lot different than what the old Dutch masters were doing with those hyper-realistic still life images. And so the question that Greenberg is trying to puzzle out is, well, why is Cezanne painting like this? It's not because Cezanne is unable to paint as well as those old masters do. He's making a conscious decision to paint very similar objects in this new way. And what Greenberg theorizes is that what artists like Cezanne are doing, and we'll see some more examples in just a moment, is that they're starting to think about what they're creating when they create paintings in terms of allowing the painting to somehow reflect on the art of painting itself, and to provide some sort of commentary on just what it is that painting is and what distinguishes painting from other art forms. Because it makes sense if you think about it. Towards the turn of the 20th century, we've got stuff like photography now. So if you really care about just representing the way something looks, might as well just snap a picture of it. It doesn't seem that necessary to invest years of your life learning how to accurately transpose the appearance of something with paints when you can just snap a photo. And so you're at this point where a lot of artists are thinking, well, wait, what the heck is the point of painting anymore? Since we can do these other things, we can evoke emotions, we can represent objects, we can even create significant forms with all sorts of new technology. There doesn't seem like there's any particular need of painting anymore. And what Greenberg is saying is, this is something that painting can do. Painting can comment upon its own status as, well, what is painting itself? And the thing that Greenberg focuses on is, well, what seems to be what he calls the limiting condition of painting is that painting is the creation of something on a flat surface. And, whether you're creating an image of a skull and some apples or a person or what have you, you're always tied to this flat surface. And what the old masters had tried to do, they had tried to make us forget that we were looking at a flat surface and create this illusion where we could see the three-dimensionality in a painting apart from the flat surface. And what Greenberg thinks is distinctive of what he calls this modernist art is that instead it leans into the flatness. And so Cezanne is using a lot of techniques in this painting that's really just rubbing our face in the fact that this is an image that's created on a flat surface. It has these elements where if you follow with your eye within the painting, like Greenberg says, you can kind of look and see, like, you start at the front edge of the table and then you move towards the back of the table, but then things get kind of out of whack and you're like, wait, am I going farther back in space or not, or am I still just on the same plane? You seem very just kind of like blah, stuck flat on the flat surface, and that makes you realize, oh yes, this is a painting. It's on a flat surface. And so this is what Greenberg thinks is distinctive about what he's calling modernist art, that it's using the medium of painting to call attention to the essential nature of painting itself, namely that it's on this flat surface. And Cezanne is using actually quite a bit of skill in order to really confront us with that fact. Because, when we look at this, our minds just want to create some sort of 3D scene out of it. And you start doing that, but then Cezanne is able to do things in such a way that it kind of draws you in, and then you're kind of brought up short, and you're like, oh, wait, look, this is all just kind of squished flat together. And so it's this move from these more three-dimensional, illusionistic sort of paintings of the old masters to paintings like this by Cezanne that Greenberg has in mind. When I come back on a second podcast, I'll give you some more examples of painting throughout history so you can see the sort of thing that Greenberg has in mind.